But we have always advocated for Taiwan's meaningful inclusion in international bodies where it makes sense to do so. That includes at the WHO.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister indicated that he would support Taiwan's inclusion in the WHO only as a non-state observer. Of course, that designation does not exist. Participants of the WHO are either states or NGOs. Will the Prime Minister support Taiwan's participation as a state observer?
Mr. Speaker, we will continue with our Recognize One China policy, but we have always advocated for Taiwan's meaningful inclusion in international bodies where it makes sense to do so. That includes at the WHO.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Brian Mullen, Global News. Taiwan has donated 500,000 surgical masks needed by Canadian healthcare workers on the front lines of the pandemic. Your foreign minister wouldn't thank the country by name. Will you?
I'm happy to thank Taiwan for its generous donation. It is important at this point that Canadians and all people around the world pull together to be there for each other, because this is a global challenge that is going to face a global response. We need to do this together, and we will.
Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. The former Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull, says China is a bully and that the way for Canada to deal with China is to stand up for it instead of backing down. Is your government standing up to China, or is it backing away from China?
My responsibility as Prime Minister is to make sure that we're providing for Canadians and keeping Canadians safe. That's the job people expect me to do, and that is exactly what I'm doing. We're going to ensure that Canadians have the equipment, the supplies, the support they need to make it through this pandemic. And of course, at the same time, we will be asking difficult questions about how we're making it through this pandemic, how this came to happen, how we can learn from this. There'll be plenty of time for questions in the months to come. My focus, rightly, is on doing everything I can to help Canadians through this.
So are you standing up to China?
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Fourth speaker here, it's Mr. Derek Walton, who is a legal counsel of WHO. He is here with us, and I think he would like to take this question.
And yes, of course, we have the World Health Assembly coming up on the 18th and 19th of May. This year it will be held virtually, and it will be a de minimis session, which means it will focus principally on the COVID-19 pandemic. The involvement, if any, of observers from Taiwan, China in that assembly is a question for the 194 members of WHO, the member governments. It's their decision.
I think my question probably goes to Dr. Tedros. This relates to the upcoming World Health Assembly and whether Taiwan will be invited to attend. Would you encourage the member states, particularly China, to allow Taiwan to attend as an observer this year? And conversely, I understand that you have the authority to invite them yourself. Would you do that if China continues to resist their participation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucas. And I apologize that I did not introduce our guest, our fourth speaker here. It's Mr. Derek Walton, who is a legal counsel of WHO. He is here with us, and I think he would like to take this question.
Thank you very much. And yes, of course, we have the World Health Assembly coming up on the 18th and 19th of May. This year it will be held virtually, and it will be a de minimis session, which means it will focus principally on the COVID-19 pandemic. The involvement, if any, of observers from Taiwan, China in that assembly is a question for the 194 members of WHO, the member governments. It's their decision. And indeed, a proposal has already been made, as it has been in recent years, for this matter to be considered by the Health Assembly itself. And that is a question which is properly for the member states. But whether or not Taiwanese observers participate in the Health Assembly, there are well-established arrangements for health experts from Taiwan, China, to work with WHO on technical health matters. And I think we've already explained in some detail at previous briefings how that's worked. That last year, for example, Taiwanese experts were included at 8 expert meetings, and that there were 6 other informal technical meetings. And this year, there have been contacts in response to COVID-19 involving Taiwanese experts in key groups and networks. and I think we've given details of that on previous occasions. But for this year, as I say, the question is for the Health Assembly. It's for the member states rather than the Secretariat to decide that question. Thank you.